The Raider 18 HX is an enthusiast-level gaming machine with few compromises when it comes to performance, construction, and features. Predictably, it's also one of MSI's most expensive models. For users who want to save a little dough, the Vector A18 HX is essentially a tuned-down Raider. 18HX with some auxiliary features and ultra-high-end options removed like G-Sync and the RGB LED bar. The chassis is otherwise nearly identical even in terms of dimensions and materials, meaning that the core user experience is still there, but for hundreds or even thousands of dollars less. The 140 watts mobile RTX 5070 Ti performs closely to the 175 watts mobile RTX 4080 for improved efficiency without sacrificing much performance. What's up, guys? Charles here. The MSI Vector series sits in between the budget Sword Katana series and the higher-end Raider series of gaming laptops to be a good middle ground option for gamers. It is nevertheless a potent gaming machine with some of the fastest processors and graphics cards available that can rival the best from competitors. The top configuration comes with a UHD plus 120Hz mini LED display and 175 watts GeForce RTX 5080 GPU for over $4,000. Users who want the even faster RTX 5090 will have to look one step up at the Raider 18 HX series. The Ryzen 9955HX is on par with the Core Ultra 9-275HX when it comes to multi-threaded loads while being up to 20% slower in single-threaded applications. Most notably, it outperforms the previous generation, Core i9-14900HX, by 30% without needing to draw excessively more power in the process. And note that this AMD processor lacks an NPU, which the target audience of mainstream gamers may not mind. The RTX 5070 Ti is powerful enough to run most titles on ultra settings at the native QHD resolution and a steady 60 FPS. However, more demanding titles like Assassin's Creed Shadows or Monster Hunter Wilds may require DLSS to reach 60+ FPS. Multi-frame generation works well on supported titles to reach the native refresh rate of the panel when more demanding features like RT are disabled. A total of 5 display options are available. The QHD plus 240Hz option balances gaming and content editing, well due to its wide P3 colors and fast response times. It's not as bright as mini LED, nor does it support HDR playback, but it is plenty bright for most purposes at over 500 nits on average. Note that G-Sync is not supported on this machine. Chassis materials and impressions are essentially the same as the pricier Raider 18 HX, since the Vector A18 inherits the skeleton design of the Raider series. Surfaces are rigid and luxurious versus the cheap or plasticky feel of lower-end MSI models like the Katana, Sword, or Thin series. The MSI model is one of the few gaming laptops to include a dedicated SSD heatsink for better PCIe 5 SSD support. Port options and positioning are slightly different than on the Vector 16, despite their size differences. Vector A18 owners have 2 USB-C ports instead of 3 and 3 USB-A ports instead of 2. The 2-megapixel webcam comes standard with infrared and a physical privacy slider. The keyboard is an upgrade from the Vector 16, with slightly larger keys to appear more like the keyboard on the more expensive Raider 18 HX. The arrow keys and numpad in particular feel more spacious than on most other laptops. That's it for today's video. Do consider subscribing for all the latest content on gaming, and as always, I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.